Yes, yes. What's going on, guys? My name is Eddie Tranzcendent, and this is the Transcendent Outlook podcast, where our mission is to highlight and celebrate individuals, businesses, organizations that are pushing boundaries, overcoming challenges, and creating meaningful impact in their communities and beyond. Today, I'm super excited because I'm in the studio. I've been talking about this studio for a long time, and my guest probably didn't know this, but this is the first episode that we're going to do here at the studio, and she's the first one. And I think this is great because I think that today's episode is going to be a lot about new beginnings, about going on journeys, about discovering things about yourself that maybe you didn't know before, maybe you thought you knew, but you just weren't sure. And so this whole studio is a new journey for me. It's something that I've been thinking about and I've been visualizing since 2018 when I had the first studio. And some of you guys who've been following me know all about that, that whole story. And so I'm excited because this is going to be the start of a whole new journey here in Milford at the brand new Transcendent Outlook podcast station. But also because I think that we're going to be sharing a story today that's going to help, it's going to help impact some of the folks who may be watching, and it may also help encourage some of you to take that step to to reach within and to understand that maybe it is your time to start to go on your journey, and that maybe it is your time to start to let go of those things that haven't been working for you, and to start to perhaps search within for what is going to work for you. So without further ado, my guest today is Genesis Espinoza. She is a personal growth advocate and an intentional living enthusiast. Without further ado, Genesis, how are you?
Good. I'm good.
I'm excited. As I just said a few seconds ago, this is the first episode that we record here at the studio, and I didn't tell you that because I was like, I don't want her to be like, oh my god, this is crazy. Um, but actually, I had about two false starts. Like I had like actual guests here, and things kind of went wrong. And you know how we talked about earlier, how like you're like learning things on the go. Well, I
Yeah.
was learning a lot, and I had a guest here. He might be watching right now. He was here, and I was like, oh, I can't figure this out. And good. He was a good dude. We ended up hanging out till like midnight and just talking or whatever. But that's just kind of part of the journey, right? That you go through. Those bumps and those things that help you kind of like not only learn more, but they help you realize how much you really want it. Because if you didn't, and if I didn't, I probably would have just quit.
Yeah.
But enough about me. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm actually that I was already excited to be here, so that makes it even more exciting to be like
Yeah.
I feel like it's very on brand with my own life. So
Yes, 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 yes. No, definitely, definitely. We definitely had a little while to kind of like talk before we went on air. And I think it was great because a lot of what I know about you, I know just through social media, right? And as you and I both know, social media isn't exactly, everything about somebody, right? It's just kind of like a piece, whatever piece they want to share. So I thought that was super nice. So thanks, for like the time to kind of talk a little bit and kind of get to know each other before we started recording.
yeah, yeah. I feel like we always had like similar aligned mentality.
Yes.
And that's what I've always like gravitated towards, like the post, especially when you would do the podcast during COVID time.
Yeah.
So it's like a full circle moment.
Yes. Yes. No, definitely, definitely. And I think for some time you were kind of like, on your fitness journey too.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like I've been on my fitness journey for a long time as well. And so I think that, even if two people have like totally different lives, I think that the fitness things really puts things in perspective because that's something that you can definitely align with people. And I feel like a lot of things are similar when you talk about fitness.
Yeah.
Perhaps the goal is different, but the journey through fitness is kind of the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like it's still the mentality of like taking care of your health and your
Yes.
mental health and showing up for yourself. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it has like those aspects of it.
No, definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Genesis?
So my name is Genesis, obviously, and I was born in Venezuela. I've been here since I was 9, and I have not really left United States much after that. But I kind of lived around in like a lot of different towns within Connecticut.
Okay.
So right now I do live in Bridgeport. I'm looking to move though. This is which is so crazy because this is like the second place that I've lived in my entire life. Well, technically now it's the first
Yeah.
where I've lived in a long period of time. Like I have always moved around everywhere, like all the time. It's like quite unhealthy. I've definitely
Yeah.
PTSD from it. But
Yeah.
like now, like I've lived there 8 years. Like it's so crazy.
Like in
I've
the same
in
apartment,
the
same.
same
Okay. Okay.
apartment. Like, so I'm like, this is so crazy. So like even like, I think it's very, I was saying very on brand with like starting new chapters.
Yes.
Even though I'm like, I'm still like there, but it's like I'm packing up and it's like getting ready for that.
Yeah.
So, and then like before that, I lived in Insonia. So that was like the second longest now. But
Okay.
before that, I've never lived anywhere longer for like than 2 years. So that was like a huge accomplishment that I felt like I created like stability and like
Yeah.
that type of structure for myself.
What
But
was it? Was it like a family situation that you always moved and stuff?
yeah, like
Okay.
we always moved. I
Yeah.
mean, we lived in Ansonia for like that's like a good period of time. But my mom was always moving to a new town, like a new city. Like she just always wanted to like switch things up,
Yeah.
like and when we came from United States, we only to United States, we only came here technically to visit, and then
Wow.
we ended up, my mom asked me as a 12-year-old, she's like, do you want to stay here? I'm like, yeah, sure. My cousins were here,
That's
like who
crazy.
I've never even met my entire
Yeah.
life.
That's
We don't
crazy.
even talk now. So
Yeah.
it's so funny. So, I was like, yeah. And she like left me here since
She
because
went home?
yeah, she left me with my cousins and she went back home and she pretty much gave power of attorney to my
Oh,
grandma. And
wow.
we just pretty much came here and she started the process of trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to like work and
Yeah.
like get legal and like the whole thing.
Did
So
was she thinking that there was probably a better life for you here? Is that what it was?
yeah, and she really wanted that for herself too. Like she felt like in Venezuela, like there was not that much opportunities per se. I mean, she
Yeah.
was a business owner. She was selling perfume. She had like a lot of she's always been like a hustler for sure, like very much a workaholic.
Yeah.
But she just wanted like just to expand and just have better life and not
Okay.
always work. But then that's the thing that like when you're not here, you don't realize like that's just the dream that they sell to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
here you might have more things, but it's you're selling your time for it even more.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, so it's the trade-off.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, over there, they obviously you have things that even my grandma, like there was a period of time that she was dealing with, like you go to the bank and you can't withdraw money because they don't got it. It's yeah, like
Like, yo, where's my money?
through like the whole
Yeah.
like their presidents, like, there's a
Yeah.
whole thing that they've been going through, but it's just like they're very restricted
Yeah.
and like yeah, like only given a certain amount of things, like very controlled with the government.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was very much like that. So it's like we were not gonna have that. So we honestly got out at a good time
Mm.
because then like at least we didn't have to deal with how bad it got. So it was
Okay.
good. But yeah, so she really wanted that. And I mean she got that because she went back to school. She like just like progressed and so she like
Okay.
wanted to do in life. Yeah.
Did she end up coming to the US?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
she came back to the US.
Okay.
She like at first she was working like factory jobs, like
Yeah.
McDonald's, like whatever she was able to get. Eventually she got her workers whatever to be able to work, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
like the
Yeah,
social
like a work
security to
visa or
yes,
whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And then I went to school, like I learned English like super fast. Like for her it took a couple years. It probably took like 7 10 years for her
Yeah.
to really like conversate. But she would understand, but she just didn't like talking it. But yeah, then after that I just continued, but
When
kind
when
of lost.
when you moved to the US as a 9-year-old, did you speak English at the time or no?
No, I didn't speak any English, but I learned in 4 months. I
Okay.
learned
Well, yeah,
super
but you're a
quick.
kid too,
Yeah,
so yeah,
I was what?
you
Yeah, I
soaked it
was.
right up.
Yeah, I was 9, so I was super. Yeah, super knowledge, like super like fast at learning.
Yeah.
And I went to schools. Once I went to schools,
Yeah.
it's easier because
You're
I
surrounded by it.
also like I went to Bridgeport for just like 1 year, and then my mom moved me out because she's like, you're not gonna live in Bridgeport, you're
Yeah.
gonna be ghetto. She was
Yeah.
already kind of seeing like my
Yeah.
for future because I was starting to get like I mean in Venezuela I was a fairly good kid,
Mhm.
but I came here and it got a lot worse. So
Yeah.
she already foresaw what was
Yeah.
coming. So she's like, let's move to the valley. So she already didn't like that. But once I was here, then we went to the valley, and that's kind of where I went to school.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was there? I mean, you were 9 years old, but do you remember? Was there like a culture shock for you, or
Oh,
no?
100%. I still talk about it to this day. Like,
Okay.
I think even with my name was a huge it's funny because you asked me earlier, you were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, do you like to be called Genesis or whatever?" And I'm like, "Genesis is fine." I wouldn't have said that a couple years ago.
Oh,
I
okay.
would only go by Jen because I hated my name. Like people would always like joke because kids are just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
pointless and mean.
Yeah.
Like oh,
Yeah.
like Sega Genesis and like here and there it's like funny, but it's just like
So I'm
like,
sorry.
it's
I
just
didn't even
like
think about that.
it's
Yeah.
just like not the Bible, like at
Yeah.
least like be politically correct if you're
Yeah.
gonna like do all of
But second
that.
Genesis makes sense too, but I
But
get it.
I mean my name would probably wouldn't be going through the stuff that I was going
Yeah.
through back then, you know?
Yeah. So to avoid that, you just went by
Yeah, I started
Jen.
going by Jen, like as I got older and it was
Okay.
easier. But like even like I used to get made fun of for like the way that I used to dress, like coming
Okay.
here, like
Yeah.
because I was doing like khaki and gray. Like it's just like I didn't understand that. Like it's
Yeah.
just like I'm just dressed. Like what is happening here? Like here, like it became like so superficial. Like
Like the
it's such
judgment,
an
right?
emphasis on your looks and
Yeah.
how you present yourself. And don't get me wrong, I like, I obviously have some admiration for that, like in my present life,
Yeah.
but still, like it comes to a line that like, why are we like so instilling these things in our kids, and then that's why they're they need to have everything and
Yeah.
like all of this entitlement and
Yeah.
this like overlooking at other people and this like ego that you're instilling in your in your kids before they're even like
Yeah.
five,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
No, I get it. I get it.
it's
I
deep for
think
me. It's not that simple for
yeah. No,
me,
no,
you know?
it is. It is. And I mean, I think that's something that as we grow up, we see more of. And I think that a lot of times we fall into the whole idea of like, hey, if I have kids, they're gonna have everything. And it's
Yeah.
just like, no, that's not the right mindset because that's what starts that, right? You
Yeah.
give them everything, and then part of it is that they don't know what it is to actually work for something, right? But the other part of it is that now they're entitled because they think they deserve all this stuff,
Yeah.
and then they want to make fun of the kids who don't have that stuff, and so
Right.
that's where that comes in. I think it's interesting because I had the same issue.
Mm.
I think to this day I never liked my name, you know.
Oh.
So my name is Eddie. Anywhere you look, it says Eddie, but my real name is Edward.
Yeah.
I just never liked my name. I'm like Edward is like I don't
Because
like it. Whatever.
it is serious and
It's more
like
serious. It's more
yeah.
like whatever. And so I mean, this is about you, but I'm just gonna tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
What I did was, we lived in Bridgeport, but for some time, my family and we moved to Hartford. My mom was looking for like a better place, whatever. So we moved to Hartford, and so when we moved to Hartford, I was like in seventh grade, and I just felt like, you know what, this is perfect. Nobody knows me here. I don't like my name, so I'm just gonna change my name, and nobody's gonna know. And so when I went to school, the first kid said, "Hey, what's your name?" I said, "My name is Eddie."
Mhm.
And I just left it like that. And this is before cell phones and whatnot. And so, what do you call it? I gave my friends my phone number. And one day, one of those kids called the house, and my mom picked up, "Hello?" And then the kid goes, "Oh, can I speak to Eddie?" And she goes, "No, no, I can know you, Eddie." And I said, "No, Eddie, that's me." And she said, and she was like,
Your
"No."
own mom didn't even
Yo,
know.
she was mad. She was like, "No te llamo Eddie," and then whatever. So I get
Yeah.
where you're coming from.
Yeah.
The whole. I mean, I don't know that I was made fun of because of the name, but I just didn't like it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so I just took
yeah.
it upon myself to just change it.
Yeah.
So respect to you for saying, you know what, I'm gonna go back to my name, because I think
Yeah.
it's a nice name.
Yeah, and I just started taking ownership of it.
Yeah,
I think with anything, like you could sit here and uh say what you don't like about it
yeah,
instead of just like embracing it. And I think, yeah, I like the meaning of it. And I feel like it's very on brand with like me being like the generational cycle breaker in
yeah,
in my life in
yeah,
like my family. So it's kind of like, you know what, like I it's there for a reason,
yeah,
and if I wanted to change it, it's like I could have easily done that. So, because I've thought about that when I was younger as well. Like
yeah.
literally, like when I was in high school, I'm like, maybe I'll change my
When I get
yeah.
older,
When I get older, change my name to my middle name because my middle name I always loved.
okay.
So I was like, okay, I mean, I'll just do that. But I'm like, I could just tell people to call me by my middle name,
And
like.
they just
But I'm
avoid.
like, that's the whole Jen thing all over again. I'm like, whatever,
Yeah, no, I get no, definitely. Now you said that when you came down, you stayed with your cousins,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. And so did you guys kind of grow up together, or were you guys around the same age?
We were around the same age. Me and one of my cousins were literally the same age, and the other one was like maybe like a year or two younger.
Okay.
But no, we did not grow. My family is very weird. They don't like really. There's like a lot of breakthroughs, fallouts, whatever.
Yeah, I
And
get
that
it.
was
I
like
get it.
one of them. And
Yeah.
then we kind of didn't like really work. We weren't in each other's life for a while.
Okay.
And then we were for a little, and now like we're not. We haven't. Yeah.
And how was it? How was it growing up with grandma?
Well, I
Like,
only grew up with her since I was like 9 because today everybody's still over there. So I mean, growing up with my grandma over there, like it was good. I feel like with my grandma is probably like the only person I have a connection with over there currently.
yeah,
But even with her, I don't even speak to all the time.
got it.
But she when I was over there, I was like her favorite grandchild. So I
Okay.
always felt that because I was the only one who she's had around.
Oh, I
So
thought your grandmother was here.
no,
Oh,
she
she's okay.
she
Got it.
stood
Got it.
over
Got it.
there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I haven't like she's came over here twice, but
Yeah.
I've never been back
Yeah.
because then I needed to have my dad sign for me since I had his last name.
Yeah.
And then we were like, you know what? We'll just wait till you graduate, and then you graduate, and then real life happens, and then you need money and vacation time.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
I moved out like a couple of years in after like graduating. I
Yeah.
graduated when I was 17. I think I moved out like 20. So
Oh, wow.
so I didn't have much time to like go, even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I still haven't because it's still the country still is not like the best.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm actually like a citizen. Like even though I don't have like it's not up to date, but
Yeah.
technically I'm an original citizen.
Yeah.
So if things get bad, if I'm over there, like with how that country is, they could be like you got to stay.
Is there like a tourist area over there or no?
No, I
No,
would
not
I
really.
would no, because I would say like Venezuela is just starting to kind of get a little bit better, and especially because I guess USA came in and whatever they what
Yeah.
and felt like they needed to be like heroes or whatever for where were they when it was like Hugo Chavez in there since 1992. But
Yeah.
so it's kind of like they always had like a lot going on, but not tourists, like
Yeah.
because of it was mostly communist. It was more like Cuba, I would consider
Got
them. And they were very tied like for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's progressively gotten better, but it's just gonna take a while. And it's
Okay.
just like I don't know if I would want to necessarily put myself back in that
Yeah.
atmosphere, especially because I grew up with my grandma like complaining about how things were.
Yeah.
And it's just like we could all sit here and complain how things are bad everywhere, but like at the end of the day, like we have our own choice.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially when she's been told to come, it's like you've had the opportunity, like you're
Yeah.
a grown person.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, and I don't want to hear that either. Because
Yeah.
it's like I don't call you to hear all this stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm not, what am I don't know. I'm really working on that because I really get very put off with a lot of people complaining.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't like something, like change it. Like, that's literally like my biggest motto in
Yeah.
life. Like, and if you don't know how to change it, then like just figure out
Yeah.
like what's this first step then? Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
how are you gonna think differently and about it? Like,
Yeah.
but
Like more action.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, are you gonna always just be a victim in life and
Yeah.
what is happening around you?
Mhm. Yeah.
So
No, I definitely get it. It's like, I mean, it's like complaining is okay if it's like, like I complain and I'm done. But if you're gonna keep on over and over, then I get where it could get
you're
a bit.
looping.
Yeah.
You're looping.
Yeah.
Or even sometimes when we're talking about it and we're not even complaining, but we're just like, oh, this happened and this and that. That's one thing I know I've had to work on and I'm still constantly working on because like even situations just happening and us having to like revisit them and like re-talk about them and re-loop at them. It's just continuously creating that same cycle within you.
Yeah.
I mean, the experience already happened, how you deal with it, how you dealt with it, whether it was right or not, whoever was right or not, it doesn't matter. It's just like moving forward matters. So like looping and continuing to like live that, it's just, I feel like you're only going to continue to create that type of behavior.
Yeah.
Or like calling that in back into your life.
Yeah.
You know?
No, definitely. So you graduate at 17, you said?
Yep.
And you move out at 20.
Yep.
And did you go to school or what was
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I did move out pretty young. Like I was like, I was pretty much like moving in with my boyfriends like right away.
Okay.
Because I was already kind of getting kicked out, but not really. Like she was just like not happy with like how I was living my life, like
Yeah.
already going out,
Yeah.
not coming home, and like things like that. Because like she was pretty strict growing up, so I think that I was always very sneaky like in high school.
Yeah.
But then like right after high school, I'm like, you can't tell me shit.
Yeah. Because you learn how to speak Spanish first,
Yeah.
and then you learn English after 9 years old. Do you, when you think, do you think in Spanish or do you think in English?
It's funny. Everybody asks me that, and I think in English.
Do you?
I
Because I feel
do.
like I think in Spanish.
I think in English. I think I literally, because I used to get made fun of for the way that I used to talk as well.
Well, are you Spanish or you're English?
English.
Okay.
I used to get made fun of so that I worked so hard on my accent so that
Okay.
I wouldn't
So you
have
will have
it.
one? Yeah.
And I think I wanted to like not speak Spanish so bad that
Yeah.
I started to eventually not even think in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think subconsciously.
But can you speak Spanish now?
I can't. I still can speak Spanish.
Like
I can write
fluently?
it, read
You can write
it.
it, read it.
Yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
nice, nice. Good,
yeah.
good.
So like even like now when I'm around like my Spanish friends or like just in Spanish in general, like I'll come out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think in the past I didn't really like it coming out or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, something that kind of I was like ashamed about for a while
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. So when you're in high school and you're about to graduate, do you have an idea of what you were gonna do? Like, hey, when I get done with high school, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, or you were just kind of going with the flow at the time?
Oof. I think just like right after high school, I feel like life kind of collapsed.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So like that's when my mom was married. She was going through a divorce. It was a
Okay.
bad divorce. It was one of the like he was like asking for toasters and like just trying to like, like just very like hostile.
Yeah.
And then at that point that he wasn't because so hostile, he wasn't like very like agreeable to do things. So through divorce he wasn't agreeing to like selling the house,
Mm,
so it was like going through foreclosure basically, but we were still living in there while we
yeah.
were starting to figure it out. So life got like messy in that like way, and I think that that's when like she bought an apartment, and then we started like getting into a lot of fights, like a lot of arguments, because you
Your
never
mom and
really
you?
had it. Yeah, we never
Okay.
really had a healthy relationship
Okay.
as it is. And now that she, they didn't have, now she's more financially stressed and
Yeah.
all of that stuff has happened. Now
Yeah.
she's like, and now I'm like doing whatever the heck I want. That she's just like, I'm really sick of it.
Yeah.
So during that time, I was dating somebody and we ended up moving out together.
Okay.
Because she was like pretty much like just like threatening me and like all of these things. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I ended up going. I kept my car at that time because I had a brand new car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll just continue to pay for it and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So I just like life just like kind of like unraveled in a way that I did not picture. I thought I was gonna go to like school. I was trying to see if I could go to Vermont, and I'm
Okay.
like, all right, that's not gonna work. Maybe I could go to school in like around here, which I did. Like I did sign up, and I was
Yeah.
going to Housatonic at that time,
Yeah.
and I started to go, but I was just going through the motions because I always thought like, school is something that like you kind of have to do or whatever. So then
So you had some kind of a plan in your mind, like, oh yeah, I think I want to do this.
yeah.
But then life just kind of came. And,
Yeah, because my mom had always instilled this like good work ethic in me, and this like and this idea that like you have to take care of yourself. Like
Mhm.
nobody's gonna take care for you. And
Yeah.
then with her and us having such a like tumultuous like relationship, she only created like a distrust in me and trust in other people to be able to help me, so that I just started to like move on my own. And like
Mhm.
I started to have, even when I was living with her, I got out of her phone plan. I started paying for my own plan because
Okay.
everything would always get thrown in my face. Like I
Yeah.
pay for this, like give me the phone. Like it was just always very controlling and
Yeah.
demanding. So I was already like on my own. So like even though I like that was all happening, I already was working at McDonald's full time. Like I left high school, and at that time then I started to work at 6 a.m. like
Okay.
doing 8-hour shifts. Like I'm like I'm going to get my hustle on,
Yeah.
like all of these things. And like I always like was pretty like I was. Now I'm not. I don't believe in hustling. Like back then, yes. Like now I would never subscribe to that mentality.
Yeah.
But now, no, back then, sorry. So then I'll be like, okay, let me get this job, let me get the other. I was working 2 jobs at that time, like
Yeah.
working at it like at a bank for 30 hours, and then working at a pizza place, like sometimes having 12, 15-hour days, like, And at that time, I was still living with my mom. This is right
Okay.
before I moved
Yeah.
out. And then like that's when like I had to move out. Then I moved with my ex who was living with a roommate. It was just like all messy. Then I had to
Yeah.
bring my dog with me that like I was barely, poor thing, barely
Yeah.
paying attention to because I'm so wrapped up in like my
Yeah.
own life that like nobody's even paying attention to what a dog needs, you know?
Yeah.
So then my mom ended up not liking her apartment, and she tells me I can move in there with my boyfriend at the time. We
Yeah.
move in there, and like that's a whole different thing. Then he's moving out, then she's moving in. It's a whole like it was such a like chaotic.
Yeah.
Like my 20s was probably like the worst time of my life. But
Yeah.
yeah, like and I'm saying that because that's how I felt back
Yeah.
then, But I look at it now and I see that it was literally like the most transformational time because
Yeah.
even though I wasn't transforming, like I was doing everything to get me to that point to transform,
Yeah.
like go party, go mess up in
Yeah.
life. Like I was getting arrested, and by that time I was already getting arrested. So I was just adding to it. And
Yeah.
then um at that time when I left my home, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna work at it and start applying for banks. So I started applying for banks since I knew they were good jobs.
Okay.
And that's what I got into. And then that's what kind of really helped me like have stability. And then like,
Okay. When you think back at your 20s
yeah.
and everything that you went through with your mom and with maybe partners that you had at the time and
Mm.
dealings with apartments and all that kind of stuff. When you look back, do you see like are you able to find the growth and what all that has meant to you today? Like are you able to look back and kind of say, you know what, like I went through all that, but it helped me kind of like become something,
Yeah.
or are you able to kind of to look back and think that way, or do you look back and you want to kind of forget it?
No, I think at one point I used to think like I would want to forget it.
Yeah.
And I think like the more I heal, the more the more that I embrace that life. I mean, even when I talk about it now, I kind of just like laugh because I used to really like I've honestly lived so many lifetimes that I could say that like a lot of people truly have not lived.
Yeah.
And to some degree, good for them, right? To
Yeah.
some degree, also, I feel sorry for you that you've been so restricted and then you haven't gotten yourself there.
Yeah.
And I also think that like it also brought so much perspective to me because we're so quick to see and judge and critique how people are, what people are and aren't doing and how they look in life and like all of these things. And even my mom she's always been like that because my mom is she's actually like the very quite opposite as me.
Yeah.
I can even know she's very opinionated and very controlling and all of these things, and very strong-minded, very
Yeah.
strong will. At the same time, like she's not somebody who would sit there and argue with people. She's not somebody who would even get in a fight. So even the times that I have, even if there were not many, it will be like, I don't know why you're like that. Like I would never do that, this and
Yeah.
that. So it's kind of like she's always had this thing where she thinks that, it'd be better than. But at the same time, it's like you are really, truly no different than any of us. Like
Yeah.
it would take you like one bad time in your life, one bad situation,
Yep.
at a bad moment,
That's
and a
it.
bad mental state,
That's it.
and then like all hell breaks loose.
Mhm.
You're like, yes, like, and you could pride yourself on being this strong person, and like
Mhm.
you should for sure, but like don't let it forget that you're also very weak, just
No,
like the rest
definitely,
of
definitely.
us.
I think for some time, I worked as a judicial marshal, and so I worked at the courthouse in Stanford, for many years, and I had many conversations with people who were like locked up, people who got locked up the night prior or whatnot, or maybe people who were already incarcerated in Bridgeport and just coming to court to see the judge, um, and I heard so many times similar stories of like everything was good and one day like this just happened, or one day that person said something that just or my girlfriend just said something that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I
Yeah.
lost it, like, you know what I mean? And it's true, from one moment to the next you could go from like everything's great to like, oh man, and so when you look at people who are going through things, it's like, don't be so quick to judge, because that could happen to you as well in a matter of seconds. Things could change.
Mm.
When you look back in your 20s, is there anything, or any one thing or more than one thing that you can look back and take from it, that you can say, you know what, through all that I learned this, this lesson, or I learned this about myself. what would that be?
I think awareness,
Okay. Like situational awareness
just
or
awareness overall.
okay.
Like I think awareness of like your own patterns, of your own um like self narratives that you have, like your own stories, like your upbringing, just awareness, like your own psychology,
Yeah.
um, and like having the awareness of other people too. Like I think like a lot of times I wanted to have such a life and like I was looking outside of myself for so long like that you're looking for somebody else to like fulfill that. So I think that just awareness overall is what really started to change everything for me because without that like you could do whatever and if you're not aware of it then it's never going to be like transmuted to change to something like better.
Yeah.
Like it's just gonna be like how many times have we done something and you've never like thought about how you've done it, but then you think about it one time, it's just like, well, like not like wait a minute, like I never thought about it. It's like how would it look like if I did it differently?
Yeah.
Like if you don't have that awareness, then you wouldn't really try to restructure yourself. Um, so I think that was like the biggest like thing. But I think like there's really not necessarily like anything specific that I've like a situation per se that I feel like was it, like that made me feel like that.
Yeah.
I think to be honest, it's just like how everything has been like unrevealing over time and
Yeah.
then just being like I used to judge myself for being like such a like strong person and like so like opinionated and like and all of these other things, but it's just that like I love that I'm so assertive and then like I do how I like when I do something like I'm gonna do it, right? But then also I love that I just do whatever the fuck I want, whether people like it or not, even if I used to hide it back then, right?
Yeah.
It didn't matter. I still did what I wanted to do because if you're not living authentically, then you're not living for yourself. So like the fact that I was living for myself, even if it was in a messed up way, like
Yeah.
I'm grateful for like the version of me that like was so hot headed and so like angry with the world and like so misunderstood. Like I think all of those things just continue to help me build
Yeah.
even in the moments that like I was so lost. And even sometimes like I love looking at like especially as a woman, you take a lot of photos and stuff like that, videos, whatever.
Yeah.
And like I love looking back at the time because I feel like the more that I continue to like unravel and like heal and like all of these things, like I'll look back and I'll be like, wow, I remember like back then, like some of these things like weren't into into my conscious, like it
Yeah.
wasn't even went to my awareness. Like even we talked about the gym and it's just like I remember back then, like I started to dress a certain way going to the gym because like when I first wasn't working on myself, I always was like, I guess dress more simple or even if I worked at a bank, so I always dressed nice, but
Yeah.
right, but it just like kind of conservative, but like not like I guess like a baddie or whatever, like
Yeah.
the terminologies
Mhm.
people use. But I think that after like me and my ex broke up, because I was basically in the same cycle for like 3 relationships in, like 4 in basically. And that's when I was just like, okay, like something's like happening here.
Yeah.
But the thing is that for me, like I was in these relationships, but like I also, that's one thing I'm also grateful for myself. Like I never been a type to like be afraid of leave. Like I'll
Yeah.
leave anyone,
Yeah.
everything. Like goodbye. This world is big enough for both of us to live in here, and never talk to each other.
Hmm.
So I would leave my boyfriends, but and I would hear them, even though they were telling me where I'm doing wrong. But obviously, sometimes you're so stuck on like what other people are doing, and how they're treating you that
That you don't see.
we're both missing the point.
Yeah.
Like we both, as much as they are, so are you,
Mhm.
And I think that with my continuing that cycle and then getting arrested like 2 more times after that, then like I moved back in with my mom. Then like all shit went loose after that. I'm not, then I'm leaving the house and now we're gonna be even more strained. We didn't talk for like because we didn't talk at one point for 2 years the first time that I moved out.
Okay.
2 to 3 years. And
Yeah.
then this time I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
But this time we didn't talk for like the 1 year. I'm always the one to reach out because she's like my only family. So
Yeah.
for me, it's always like, it's hard to like have no relationship with people as it is and then like
Yes.
add your mom to that.
Yeah.
So So we kind of struggle with that. Then I met when I was started with my most recent ex, which is almost 6 years ago, which is so crazy that
Yeah.
I because I was in relationships back to back, so, and if I wasn't, like, I would entertain situationships until, like,
Yeah.
I would figure it out, or if that person, had potential or whatever. So because I was more so like into relationships, but like I also couldn't be alone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, so then after that, then when me and my ex, we were starting to build a life together, all of these things, we moved in, and he was like the best one that I would say, like, looking out for me,
Yeah.
even though he wouldn't help at home, but at least like he would always like make sure I was good. But there was a lot of things that like he wasn't a present father, like, or even like how we would, like, a lot of like stupid little things that like we weren't aligning with.
Yeah.
And then we would drink a lot, but he would drink a lot more heavy. He started to put his hands on me. So like that started like a whole different thing, because then I'm like blaming myself for like maybe
Yeah.
like getting that rise out of him, and like maybe like causing that, and like, but like even if I'm talking crazy, I'm never like going that crazy,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, and I never, like I said, I've never really been like a physical person either. So it was just like, I'm actually not hitting you this time. Like I learned, you know what I mean? Like if I was, I would have been hitting you,
Yeah.
So but when we have a lot of this like disagreements, he'll be like, you see, like you just don't listen. You'll be like, what about you? And then like that always stuck with me. So I'm like, okay. And then as I just continue to heal, I really understood how like women really do, how we really do lack accountability,
Yeah.
because we are blaming the men for whatever behavior that like they're acting, but we're also reacting a certain way to that behavior. So it's like counterintuitive to like
Yeah.
trying to fix an issue. So like I really had to like learn that in like that aspect, because then regardless at the end I ended up leaving him because he put his hands on me again.
Yeah.
And then like that's what really like drove me to be like, yeah, I've given you enough time to change that, because anything else I was like kind of willing, okay, to be okay with or
Yeah.
whatever. But then right after that, like that's when everything kind of like uncrumbled. And don't get me wrong, like even through that, I did not think I was gonna ever get arrested after, like before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like during that, because I'm like, oh, I already went there, I already did it all. It gets arrested at like 28. Like I'm like, I'm too grown to be doing this. I'm
Yeah.
like, and I think that well, it happened right after him, so I think it was just like I was obviously like going through a lot, and then like I was trying to change my life already while I was with him, because I was already around happy, and I was trying to talk to him, and like, let's try to eat better, not drink as much,
Yeah.
we were drinking every day.
Yeah.
So, and it's just like, this is crazy, so then it's like I'm trying to slow down. At that time though, I was starting to have like health issues, like throwing up randomly,
Yeah.
like, so it's just kind of like what is happening with my stomach. It's just like I'm not even drinking right now. So it's just like I already slowly started to get these like urges and like intuition things that
Yeah.
like were leading me that way. And he wasn't really for that. So it's like I'm trying to get him to come on. Then we break up, and that's it. And then I was like, all right, well, all hands in. I'm gonna go to the gym, go work out. But it's just like it still took like a couple of years of like going into bad cycles. Like because then
Mhm.
right after that, that's when I got arrested.
Yeah.
And then that one actually stood on my record. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like all of that work, and then look at where I ended
Yeah.
up. That one really sucked. I was on probation for 2 years. I had to do actual check-ins. Like I had to actually do like anger management classes. They wanted me to do substance abuse,
Yeah.
like because like I guess because I've always smoked or whatever. So they
Yeah.
were like, you need to do it because of that. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that because like, it's the alcohol. Like, first of all, like I could tell you it's the alcohol.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just like,
When you talk about you talk about a period in your life where you had kind of like this, let's call it what it is, this kind of fucking attitude, right? You had this kind of, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
mhm.
Um, don't care what anybody says, Don't not worried about judgment. I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. Where do you think that came from? Where do you think that attitude kind of came from?
Well, I wouldn't say like, oh, I don't care what anybody thought, because I did, because
Okay.
that's why I would keep it on the low.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just think that it came from like being extremely restricted in life
Okay.
with my mom,
Yeah.
and growing up, and like, almost like being like controlled in everything, especially like, my mom just had this conversation recently, actually. because I just kind of been on like learning like my sensitivities. Like
Okay.
sometimes I have sensitivities to light or like sounds or just like touches or like, and like sometimes like a lot of the things that like how I respond to things are very irrational to normal people.
Yeah.
So a lot of that I've been labeled like bipolar all my life and like all of these things. But then it's just like I've been uncovering about the ADHD, but then also like continuing to like since I'm looking into the psychic and like uncovering things, I'm like, why do I do this if it's not
Mhm.
like the normal thing? And I not and and I think because I would judge myself for not being normal, now I'm just trying to look for ways that if that's not how the normal is, like how can I accept myself or where is it stemming from?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll look into that and I'll go and dive in deep. That's why like I'll get hyper fixated on all these things and I'll go in crazy.
Yeah. Going back a little bit to I think you said, maybe one of your latest relationships, it was a little physical,
Mm.
and whatnot. Um, and I don't know to what extent. But how were you able to I guess gain the courage
Mm.
or muster up, whatever it is that you needed to be able to get out of that
Mm.
predicament. And I only ask because, I'm sure that, somebody who may be watching perhaps is in that predicament right now, right? Um, or maybe they were in the past, maybe they know somebody who was, right? And I think you could probably shed some light on on what it was that helped you gain the courage that you needed to be able to walk away from a relationship, right? I think it's easy for somebody from the outside to say, just go, like it's not working out, get out of here, um, and and not being there, it's easy for somebody to say that, right? And so, what helped you kind of get the courage to be able to leave?
Well, I always been a leaver, to be honest.
Okay,
So like I think it's easier for someone like me.
okay,
For somebody that is not a leaver, it's gonna be even harder. It's gonna have even more layers.
yeah,
Because now it's like they have such a deep attachment that like it's a whole attachment style, it's a whole different psyche. But like if I were to say anything to somebody, it's just like it really isn't that bad leaving. Like I always would say, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like by
yeah,
leaving them, like I'll be happier because I'm like, because like I would just like always think about like what is it that I'm currently living, and would I be okay living this in a couple of years from now, two
okay,
years,
yeah,
5 years,
yeah,
10 years? Like would I? And is this the life that I picture living myself?
yeah,
And like for me it wasn't, and especially when I would try to I would try to have those efforts to have those conversations. And I think for me, I'm a very clear communicator, and like I say what I say and I say what I mean and I mean what I say, like, and that's always been my saying. And so it's kind of like my mom was always been a leaver too,
yeah,
so I see that pattern with her as
yeah,
well. And I think that like when it comes to that, I'm going to talk to you as many times, but eventually I'm going to get sick of it, and this is not going to be it. And my mom has always taught me too that once you leave a relationship, it's not the same. And I agree. So I never go back
yeah,
really. So it's just like, I think I had that foundation,
okay,
but I think the fact that I had that mentality as well of like, oh, what's the worst that could happen if I leave? I'll probably be happier. And then like I think a lot of times what holds people back is like the financial aspect of things. And I think I had that at the beginning because that's really the reason why I had to move in. Because I'm like, if I'm already moving out and you're going to be here all the time, I'm cooking for you. No, you better pay up.
yeah,
So I already was already like on that wave. But I think that once I got in there, I'm like, I'm giving so much power to somebody.
yeah,
And I think that with that relation in specific, it was so like hostile,
yeah,
right? And I think that like I had already seen myself get my stuff together for so long and deal with all of that, moved out, like all of these things, even had exes who I was living with at that point, and
yeah,
I was still that I was just like, there's no way like I'm gonna like deal with this
yeah,
and have to be okay with this. Like
mhm,
this would never be me, because I know that I would have probably end up in jail too, because
yeah,
I wasn't the type, like, because at first when he did put his hands on me, I would hit him back and we would swing, because I'm like, I'm never, because even my mom has gotten hit, and that's the thing that probably has always been with me is
yeah,
that my mom had a ex-husband. That's when we were living in Insonia. He's put her hands on her a couple of times,
Okay.
and I would always get in and I would swing on him. And
Yeah.
I literally started getting arrested even before my exes, because
Yeah.
at that time I was only 16 and I got arrested for hitting him, for like chasing him back. So I never really like had that too. Like I never been that type of person. Like I said, they had like, I would just let you treat me whatever. That's never been me. I always been a fighter. So I think that like people just, you need to tap into that like fighter. Like if somebody's fighting you, it's like, what are you doing to fight for your own life? Like, are
Okay.
you just letting yourself get so beat down that you have no fight in you left?
Yeah.
So that's where you're gonna have to kind of like figure out that foundation, because without that, like it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
the logistics won't matter. Like if you like even if you tell yourself, oh, I could leave, I'm like, but do you have the strength? Because a lot of people can't go back, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but I never, it's hard for me because I never really had that mentality. So I always been the type of person to tell people just leave.
Yeah.
If people have issues, just leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Did any aspect of the fact that perhaps you witnessed your mother going through a similar situation um in some way normalize it for you?
I don't know. I don't think so
Maybe
though, because
maybe like subconsciously, I'm thinking.
I think so. I think subconsciously, yeah, like that type of toxic, like negativity behavior,
Yeah.
like because it really didn't get like that all the time. It was only when he would drink. So it's funny how like I turned out to be like that. Like that's how funny life happens, you
Yeah.
know. But I think like I thought like it had put this like boundary on me that was just like, I'm not dealing with that. I really thought that's what it was, because
Okay.
I never dealt with it. Like I've always been like, I guess, like the abuser in that way, because of how I would talk to people and how I would talk down to them, curse at them, or belittle them.
Yeah.
But I never really had that up until I was with, I mean, I had like an ex, and that was like the one that I moved to Bridgeport and I started to see from, that's how I got into the Bridgeport scene. He would try to get out the car when I'm driving mad fast, and he's like, I'll get out the car, you go open the door. So that was toxic as hell, you
Yeah.
know? That was crazy. Like, what are you
Yeah.
trying to like kill yourself? But like,
Insane.
you know, my other, like one of my other exes, like he would break like a window, like he broke like a window in one of these like panel things, like when we're like home, and he was like drunk and he was just like mad, but it wasn't like, that's still pretty kind of toxic. But
Yeah.
I think I normalized like that behavior. It's for you to be like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah. When I started to kind of see you on Instagram mainly, you were going. It's almost like you had like a fitness journey you were going through. You had a fitness journey, going to gym, working out, and all that good stuff. Then I kind of like, I feel like I didn't see you, and I don't know if maybe it was the algorithm or whatnot, right? But I just didn't see you. And then when you popped up in my algorithm again, you're talking about totally different things, right? You're talking about eating clean. You're talking about, self-awareness, knowing yourself, knowing where you're going, understanding yourself, new experiences, different experiences. It looks like you're taking a totally different look on life. Almost like you kind of just like paused whatever was going on, and it's like you disappeared. And I don't know if you did or not. I didn't go searching in your in your page, but I just realized, I kind of noticed that you weren't there. And I feel like your content before was, it was super inspiring, in terms of working out and whatnot, which is good. It's the content that I like, and it's what I do as well. But then you kind of disappeared, and then when you came back, it's almost like it was like a different you, right? I mean, it's still you, obviously, right? But it was a different you. And so tell me a little bit about that. What happened that where did the shift happen, that you went from doing what you were doing to kind of saying, all right, I'm gonna do something different?
Well, yeah. I think it's when you're in this like journey of like healing and like all of these things, right? Like it's so beautiful because you really start to see things and become aware of things and start to shift, right? But at the same time, like it could become like a hyperfixation of you like having to get to this certain place and be this certain person and show up in a certain way for you to feel like you're that person, for you to feel like you're finally letting go of the
Yeah.
old traces of you.
Yeah.
And that's when I told you that I think back then I was still like, oh no, like I want to let her go.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and I was super focused on the whole gym. Like I was loving and I think, to some degree it was good for the ego, especially
Yes.
I was gaining weight. I was feeling good, I was going to like personal training classes and I like the discipline it was getting me, the structure. Like I do think that like the baseline of what the gym offers is really good for people,
Yes.
I was posting things online about it, so it was like getting me to like open up, but like you said, like my content was very related to like fitness,
Yeah.
and I felt like during that time like I had like a lot of male like attention and I
Hmm.
really hated it, and I think during that time I also started to have health issues,
Okay.
and it started with just a sciatica, and then from there it started to like have back, hip issues, like feet, having like having issues with breathing, with my lungs, like with digesting food. It created a whole like spiral of things like that just like continue like little by little
Okay.
to unravel. So I think at that point, like I was like almost like on a high, right, of like this like fixation of healing, going to new places. I was going places by myself. I was just trying new things and, learning new things. And then I think with the whole like needing to be a certain way and having such a rigidity with myself that I needed to be a certain way, that like I would be like, I'm disappointed and if I didn't go to the gym a
Yeah.
certain amount of times.
Yeah.
And I know we have that mentality and it's
Yes.
like good to a certain degree, right? But I think that like, we all have like masculine and like feminine energy, and like being as a woman and being in your masculine and saying, no, you need to do this like right now all the
Yeah.
time, like it's not healthy. Like we need to have that flow. And I just like I was becoming so annoyed with how I wasn't meeting my expectations because I know I could do better,
Yeah.
And I think that that was creating a lot of stress. I also was like kind of really wanting to change my life. I wanted to like be out of Connecticut like bad. Like I had my dog and she was so hard to train. She has so much anxiety. So I'm like, bro, like I just need to like move and like be in the sunshine and like be in that lifestyle, because that's the type of lifestyle that I love. I love kayaking. I love
Yeah.
being in the beach. So I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to like just shift and get out of here and let go of everyone and like let go of my old life. And then that whole thing happened, and it really took everything back. Like, and I felt like if you let it, like, it could be such a dark time
Yeah.
because then I'm working from home. I'm not going to the gym. Like now my whole life completely changed in a matter of like just days. Like in sometimes even weeks, because sometimes it's like I would get worse with certain things.
Okay.
And like the doctors couldn't figure it out. I went to like a spinal doctor, I went to a hip doctor, I went to a chiropractor. Nobody could really figure it out. I was like months in, I was so in physical therapy. I was just so annoyed
Mm.
because I was just like, now I feel like my life is just standing still after all this work that I've done and I'm just sitting here.
Yeah. So now you're feeling worse.
Now I'm like, now I'm angry.
Yeah.
Now like, everybody was already making me feel a certain way around my life, that like I told you earlier
Yeah.
about like how they were, I felt like the people around me kind of almost like siphoning like the life that I gave myself that I
Yeah.
didn't have. Like it's like they saw it in me and they're like, I want that for myself. And unknowingly people do that all the time. And it's just like then they're like, jealous of what I'm doing, or they're clocking everything that I'm doing. It's like, oh, you went through it by yourself, but you could tell like the things, how everything is said, that it's
Yeah.
like about them. It's not about your experience. So I was already feeling like very dark about that type of stuff. And I'm like, I already kind of feel that about the closest people to me.
Yeah.
And then like now this happens, like now it was so difficult. And um especially because I kept saying like, "Oh, I'll be back next week. I'll be back next week." So I kept trying to get like gaslight myself.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm 2 years in and I still haven't even gone back to like my
So,
regular life.
pretty much you were forced to kind of stop, right?
Yeah.
Because of your medical issue, you were kind of forced, and that kind of made you like
Yeah.
the stop made you kind of pause and start looking at, like
That
start to gain the awareness of what was happening.
yes.
And so, in a way, I mean, granted, nobody wants to get injured or nobody wants to have medical issues,
Yeah.
but in a way, it kind of saved you because
Yeah.
it helped to stop you.
Yeah, and I say this all the time too. And I'm really so grateful for like my health taking a turn, and like the way that it took a turn, because
Yeah.
I started at 30, like closer to 31.
Yeah.
Like so like it started so young, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And then people would be like, oh, it's a sciatica. It's not that bad. I've had a sciatica. And it's just like, I know it hurts. So
Yeah.
like they're not saying that like it doesn't hurt. They were saying that like, oh, like that must be just it. And I'm like, no, I could tell like for me, it was so much like
More.
more. So that for sure it made me realize everything, because at that point, that's when I was home. I had to really, I already had gained so much awareness about my life and everything, right? But it's so crazy because I told you, it's like the awareness is really the key for it all. Because even though I had gotten so much awareness, then I got to this point, and then it now gave me a new awareness
Okay.
on my past life and on like that new life that I haven't really ever really revisited. Because
Okay.
we don't really revisit our own life up until like years later, or we're like, oh my God, that happened
Yeah.
like, a
Yeah.
while back. But like, we rarely are like, wait a minute, like what kind of awareness did I what has shifted in this like short period of time? And at that time, and I'm like, everything opened up for me, because then the doctors not figuring things out was putting me in such a place of like powerlessness. And then at that point, then I really feel like I couldn't trust them and like all of these things. So I ended up starting to talk to ChatGPT a lot, especially since I was home so much. I ended up paying for the thing. So because I kept running out of memory, that's how much I used to talk to it.
Yeah.
So then like I would talk to it every single day, talk about all my symptoms, what I'm feeling, what did I eat, what did I do, how everything. Like
Yeah, but
literally.
you gotta end up going down a rabbit hole with that kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah, but because there was no other there is no other answers that I was getting. So
Yeah.
regardless, I was just staying still. So I'm at least like having something that in my hands that I
Yeah.
have power over. And through that whole thing, then eventually the doctor's not figuring things out. I would grab all the test results from every doctor and I would insert them into ChatGPT. And I would continue to, you know what I do, and continue to break it down and continue to ask questions and just continue to just like unravel whatever was like
Yeah.
uncovering. And like, if that didn't relate, okay, so what could it else could be or whatever. And eventually it wasn't through my hip doctor that he was like, mind you, like I already had gone to physical therapy. I was already done. He was trying to send me back, and I'm like, physical therapy did not help me. It actually made it worse for me.
Yeah.
It made it worse. So I'm like, that you're sending me back. It's this is ridiculous. And at that point, that's when I did another. I did the whole test results, and at that point, it has said something about like having a autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And then that's when they never would have told me. They were pushing more so to surgery, all of
Mhm.
these things, physical therapy. I had to call them back to let them know that that was on my test results. And they were like, and I'm like, okay, if that's the case, if that's my test results and that's what it says, like you guys should be giving me a referral to the RA, which is the rheumatoid arthritis, or not the rheumatoid, that's the actual hand, but
Yeah.
it's like a whatever, the autoimmune doctor.
Okay.
And they're like, oh well, I don't know, like I'll have to call you back. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is so crazy. And I was just thinking about something extra with that whole story.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then from there on that he gave me the referral. I went to the rheumatoid, and I go to the rheumatoid. I'm like, I'm gonna research everything before, because now that I know I have ADHD and I'm on a spectrum, I'm like, I'm gonna use my superpowers as abilities, and I'm gonna go ham
Yeah.
on research and
Yeah.
go like, this is my special interest now. I'm gonna go crazy and hyperfixate. So that's what I did. And then I go in there, he tells me everything I already know, but then he doesn't even ask me if I'm eating healthy or nothing. And then he pretty much wants to put me on autoimmune depressants, which is going to make my autoimmune worse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, like you're cut. Like I'm not even going to pay you for this visit. Like
Okay.
I'm never coming back. And that's exactly what I did after that. Like I think that's why everything kind of already changed, because while the whole research thing is happening, I'm already deep diving into all of these things. Then I'm deep diving into conspiracy theories, like all of these things. And then because it starts with the food. And then I didn't know that the food has so much conspiracy theories that it like uncovers so much for me. And I already had been started on and off wanting to go plant-based for 5 years on and off,
Yeah.
that I already intuitively had that like knowing and feeling.
Yeah.
And when I quit, when I would not eat meat, like I enjoy how my body felt. It didn't feel like sluggish
Heavy,
or
yeah.
that processing of like having to constantly, because I mean, meat takes like a good, they say 3 hours. It actually takes like 5, 8, depends on what type of meat you have. So
Yeah.
that's why your body's constantly processing something. Then like I just went completely in on conspiracy theories. So now I'm like a full conspiracy theorist person for
Yeah.
sure. Like there's nothing you can't tell me.
Yeah.
So then that really like uncover a lot of that like stuff for me though, psychologically too. And then like having this like inner knowing, and like then like I stopped, I went into an anti-inflammatory diet, so no gluten. Then I went and no sugar, try to at least, because the sugar one is like still one of the hardest things to work.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's everywhere. And then that's when I decided, I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna already have to quit all of this because all of these stuff affects my autoimmune, what's leaving me behind? Because I already have been wanting to do that anyways.
Yeah.
If anything, leaving gluten and dairy behind are actually way harder. Like having a sandwich hits. Like being gluten free is just
Yeah.
not fun. Like
Yeah.
that part sucks. And it's only in the United States that we're like this. That's why we're all gluten intolerant at this point.
Yeah.
So it's just like, wow, it sucks that it affects me like this. So then like tying back to learning about my sensitivities and the light, the sound, and all of these things, it's just like it's just like a deeper appreciation, right? That like, yes, like it's annoying that it's all happening to me, but then also it's like, wow, it got me so much though that
Yeah.
like my sensitivities continue to just show me like who I need to be, and like what I need to be, what path I need to be on, and like focusing on
Okay.
that. It could have been something that I'm like, oh, I hate it here, or like all of these things, but it just continued to help me like see that why I'm right here right now, and like
Yeah.
what is it trying to do within me. So I just kept trying to uncover like, what are you trying to do? I'm like, what is happening here? Like
Yeah.
this just going deeper. And I'm somebody who's just like continuing to go in deeper and deeper and deeper. And like even when somebody's like, oh, like you don't think subconsciously like you like that, a lot of people be like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, say that's I'm like, that's an interesting take. Like I
Yeah.
actually consider it because
Yeah.
like subconsciously, like we do so much things that like we don't even like realize, or that it ties back to something else.
Mhm.
So that really also helped me see how much I learned about psychology, but then also like how intuitive I have always known, right? But then now, instead of being on the other spectrum of like, oh, I see all these things from people and I hate how they're being,
Yeah.
I need to stay away. It's kind of like, okay, how is it that I'll use like my sensitivities to like my own power, right? But then also like like show up responsibly in the world,
Yeah.
where I take ownership about my own life, so that I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna go there because I don't want to be bothered,
Yeah.
or like how is it that I'm gonna be a sovereign being just living, instead of like waiting for everything around me to be like how I need it to be.
Okay.
So that is that's one thing that I feel like life continues to like show me. It's like, what am I trying to control like right now?
Yeah.
Um, and how could I like just live more authentically in the moment?
Well, what do you feel in your journey? When did matter of fact, when did it start? When, like, how many years ago?
2 years.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so 2 years since the diagnosis and the
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah. October is since I had the first like sciatica
Okay.
incident. Yeah.
And since
Yeah.
that, and so in those 2 years, um, what would you say is has been the biggest aha in terms of like what you learn about yourself?
Oh, the biggest aha is I think is was to tap into my sensitivities, because that actually has like a lot of the keys. You were talking about earlier how people have like your own answers. And
Yes.
that was one of my things. Is like my sensitivities are my own answers, and I've been looking outside of myself for people to accept them.
Yes.
And I don't need to. If you don't like the fact that I get annoyed because your phone keeps dinging, then like we don't have to be in the same room together. It's
Yeah.
okay. Like if you can't respect that, like we're living together and now I don't want you to have that, then like that's cool.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of them. And I think the second of it was just slowing down. I think in like connecting with myself.
Yes.
I think that that was the biggest lesson, was like, how can I get more in tune with myself? Because I thought I was in tune with myself since I have been working on myself.
Yeah.
But in all reality, I was waiting for something outside of myself to show me what I needed to be in tune with, right?
Yeah.
Versus like, okay, what am I feeling today? Like, how do I feel? You know, that intuition of like, you know how you need to handle your day yourself or
Hmm.
whatever situation, and like really just sitting with myself instead of being so out there. So
Yeah.
I think that that was one of the biggest things that life was trying, like, you can't just do you. I always been a go, go, go. I need to clean this. I need to go do that. I need to, go here.
Yeah.
Like, it really pulled me back to the point that like, I couldn't run away from myself. Like, I had to sit there and I had to sit uncomfortably because I couldn't go. And even if I kept saying like another week, then another 2 weeks will go back and I'm like, I'm still here. This is so crazy.
Yeah.
So it was just like that. And now, like for me, like I always been a little like OCD, I would say.
Mhm.
So like I always had to have everything at home like very particularly. And I won't say that like I'm ever gonna go away from that.
Yeah.
But I think that now I've created like such a like respect for my body and like myself, that like, especially since I'm still healing, now if I'm like not feeling like a weekend and I don't want to clean, it's just like, who's gonna judge me?
Yeah.
I'm like, even if they do, I'm like, do they live here?
Yeah.
Like, are they gonna touch this? Like, I'm like, even if they touch it, I'm like, they don't have to be here,
Yeah.
So it's just like, once you start to really work through all of these things, we see that like nobody's making us do anything but ourselves. So in our reality, it's like we're the only ones that are like keeping us sort of hostage, right? Are in a chokehold.
Yeah.
And it's like life is to be like a little bit more fluid. It is nice to have like your home put together and everything away and clean, but then it's also nice to get out the house and go touch
Yeah.
grass,
Yeah.
and or go to the movies, or go spend time with your family, go for a walk with your dog that's probably never goes outside, gets walked, like
Yeah.
like that was one of the biggest things for sure.
You recently posted something on Instagram. I don't remember anything about what the picture was, because obviously Instagram is always a picture with some kind of a caption, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember what the picture was at all. But the caption was long. It was a long caption. And in it, you talked a lot about, kind of like where you are now, right? You gave kind of like a recap of where you are now, so far in your journey. The things that some of the things that you've discovered, and some things that you're willing to, I guess, accept, and also some of the things that you're like looking to get back into, right? Because since you've been on your journey the last 2 years, you've you know in pausing and taking the time to pause and to take care of you, you've kind of like let go of some things, right? Um, in that post, you talked a lot about self-awareness, right? Of the importance of self-awareness, which pretty much is being aware of yourself. Um, how important has self-awareness been for you, in this journey? How important has really getting to know yourself, you know, been for you, and how different is that from who you were before?
Mm,
Do you feel
yeah.
you know what I mean? Do you look at yourself now and say, "Oh man, I am not Genesis from 2 years ago." You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, totally, totally. I I like literally laugh about it all the time because sometimes I like think about the old version of who I was, and it's kind of sad. It really is. I have so much like empathy for her and like sympathy, like the whole thing,
Yeah.
because like I used to be so angry. Like I used to walk around like everybody. I got a problem with everybody. Like,
Like, what?
somebody in the grocery store. What, you want this? You want this? Like, I'll give it to you, bro. Like, I've been waiting for this. It was always arguing, but still,
Yeah.
it's just that energy, that negative, like hostile,
Yeah.
like very heavy energy, and even like me getting sick, it really showed me. And I'm like, I was always gonna get sick. I always felt that too. I always
Yeah.
felt like I was gonna get sick because of how I handle life. And once they did, I'm like, you see, like that's exactly why. So like that was like the hindsight that it was giving me during that time. But then what was the question again? See,
Well, in terms of self-awareness, the person who you are now,
Yeah.
how much different is it than the person who it was 2 years
Oh
ago?
yeah, so that's really in route, and like I guess versus like now, and like that's where I continue to cultivate this version of me, right? So even the moments that I told you that I kind of felt like kind of dark because of how I feel, like I experience a lot of sensory overloads from the
Yeah,
world or things or perceived intuition from things, people, whatever. So like that could feel very heavy, right? So sometimes like that can make me feel like very dark and like I don't want to deal with people. And
yeah,
I'm always gonna have that, especially being somebody who's moved a lot, who doesn't have a close family, who's like literally like I'll shut the door on you and you never welcome back in. So I'm already like trying to navigate like that old pattern that's already like ingrained into me, and that
yeah,
foundation. Like it's that's always gonna be a foundation. And I know I'm gonna have to always work through that, right?
yeah,
So like now, like me seeing myself, like I'm like, wow, like I dance now, I dress nice, like I feel good, like I show up so, like with so much like more presence, and like I have a voice now, like I have this glow, I have this like this charisma, like this whole like thing that like I see that version of myself now, and that's where I'm like, yeah, like that's what I feel like that's what like everything that my intuition tries to tell me is like
yeah,
trying to like lead me to that. So like even when I have these moments of like trying to feel that like heaviness or whatever, it's just like I just keep focusing on like no, like I want to continue cultivating like that life, that version of me that's like the higher self. And even if I have like low vibrational moments, it's just
yeah,
like I always say, it's like, how do I get back? Like everything, like even if you just spazzed on somebody, like that's one of my biggest thing that I've had to kind of like really learn, right? When you're breaking so many layers, because this is not just something about me. This is something that's like layered within like ancestral or
yeah,
whatever. So it's kind of like you could be so quick to sit here and judge yourself when you make one bad mistake, but you're trying to think about it. I'm 33 now. I'm about to turn 34. So it's like I'm trying to change 33 years of living.
mhm,
Like there's no possible way you're just gonna snap
yeah,
your moment. So one of the things is just like I really have learned to give so much more grace to myself.
mm,
That even if I have a bad moment and like, or I spazzed or I'm angry or whatever, and I don't like how I reacted to something, that I just take that moment to just like feel that, and then I just be like, well, that's okay.
yeah,
Like that's fine. Like I know that next time I want to do better. And that's where I kind of will leave it.
yeah,
Because I used to always like ruminate a lot about everything that happened. And that's one thing that I say that I going back to your question that I tying back to it is that ruminating. I think I've had to work on that ruminating of like having this like mental loop of things going wrong, or
yeah,
how can you look at the world to be bad, or how can you victimize yourself, or how is it that somebody's doing you wrong? Like I think now I have such a world like this like view that like nothing's really trying to do you wrong. It's just how you're trying to perceive it. Whether
yeah,
the actions is there or not is true, but like you never have to really technically accept it. You're accepting it, and that's why it's hitting you so hard.
yeah,
Like other than that, like it's just like another, it's just like the breeze passing by. You barely feel that.
yeah,
So I think that was yeah.
yeah. Where so I mean you're 2 years in to your new journey. I would assume from our conversation prior to recording and even our conversation now that you're still in the midst of it, right?
Yeah.
So what's next for Genesis? What do you
Oh,
what do you?
man. Because this month has really have felt like such a like limbo
Yeah,
space. Going back to what you saying about my post, I think how you asked about the self-awareness thing. I think that that's one of the things that with everything coming out and me realizing that the ruminating would always take away from my light. And I think that like that ruminating, I tied it back to when I look back into my psyche enough, I could tie it back to that's like how I tend to look at the shadows of the world, right? So then that's condemning everything.
okay,
And if you're going to condemn everything, then nothing is ever going to be good no matter what, right?
yeah,
So then that's when at that point I have been home most of the time, haven't been able to really um work out. I think a lot of like how people relate to me has changed drastically. I've become a completely new person. So like we can't talk about the same things,
Yeah.
and a lot of the stuff that I talk about, it's a little like far-fetched for people, and not because they're ignorant, but because they're psychic or just does not want to wear that to their awareness. They're just trying to protect themselves.
Yeah.
So, and like I get it, but at the same time it has felt like very lonely, so it has only like added to that. But just trying to like navigate that, because then now it's like I don't really want to be going out with people, or I don't really want to be going to places. So I was starting to condemn that or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think like coming out, I and like having like grace for myself and giving myself fluidity of life. I think that having that fluidity of life, right, of slowness and rigidness, I think I started to bring that out once I started to have all those realizations. I started to really bring that out where I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? I think I'm ready to just like get back into life, even if life is not ready right now for me,
Yeah.
because I'm still working on that. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so then it's like, okay, how can I cultivate that life even with what I'm currently dealing with in life? So it's just like, well, I started to go into the office one time a week. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to make the effort going and, have a cute outfit, because that's what makes me feel good about myself in the morning and sets the tone. And it's like that effort for me that I'm like put in. And then it was just making small little choices to continue to show up for myself.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the biggest thing. And then like after it was like, okay, well, let's start going out, maybe, let's start experiencing life instead of like just because we don't like something, like just I like or before I would be like, if I didn't like something, okay, if somebody was like drunk, I wouldn't want them around me.
Yeah.
And like that's fair to say, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody wants a drunk person around me. But I think that like as humans, we tend to like condemn everything that we see as no longer good, right? And then when we're in this journey of like self-healing and like all of these things, it could get a little egotistical there. And then you can start to feel like you're better than just because you're making better choices
Yeah.
or because you're high vibrational. But like, yeah, you are, right? But like you're still condemning the bad, right? And then like if we're talking about life and the
Yeah.
duality of life and what really life is, was this unity, right? Then like you're still trying to separate the good and the bad, and then you're still trying to pedestalize yourself to a certain degree to make you feel like you're this.
Yeah.
But in all reality, it's like the bad is the good, because without that, then you wouldn't know that what it's like to be around like decent, good people that know how to have good conversations that you flow with.
Yeah.
But then what? Then because you're condemning the bad, you're never going to be around drunk people.
Mm.
You're not going to want to go to, for example, like I'll go to like a club, or especially because now like I'll do house music, and like that scene is a whole different scene. It's like now it's like I want to go out and dance. And that was the whole thing. I stopped going out and dancing because I'm like, I don't want it. And mind you, I only started to dance until I was like 25, 26. I never danced my entire life. So
Yeah.
mind you, I already been restricted. And now I'm restricting myself more because I don't like what's out there.
Yeah.
And now I'm not going. And I'm like, no, let's go back. Let's just have a good time. Like I live in my bubble, and like nobody has to be in my bubble unless I allow them in.
Yeah.
And whether they'll try, whatever, like that's like I just handle things accordingly, and and I just keep it pushing. So I started to do that. I started to just
Mm.
put myself in places that I took myself um, out of like survival and trying to keep myself safe. Because I think now I'm realizing that like I'm the only person that can keep myself safe.
Mm. Yes.
Whether that's at home, listening to my body and making sure that I'm like tending or slowing down if I needed to slow down.
Yes.
Like even with going out, now it's navigating. Oh, I went out like what 2-3 weeks ago. Mind you, I haven't gone out like this in a while because I remember for my 30th birthday party, like all night. Like all
Yeah.
night went to this house venue, dancing all night. It was so much fun in Brooklyn. But then I went out one night with my friend, like on Friday night. And then the next day I go out on Saturday. And I wasn't supposed to go out, or on Saturday I rested. But then on Sunday, I wasn't supposed to go out in the morning. But my other friend is like, oh, let's come chill at my house, which is not that bad, but it's still energy, right? Especially if I'm still
Yeah.
healing. Then I go out later at night for dinner, and then we go out. And I could tell you that I paid for that because I'm still healing.
Yeah.
And any person it would still be feeling like, well, I gotta rest.
Yeah.
But it took me like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks to recuperate from that. So it's like I also have to be careful now with
Yeah.
not like overdoing it.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like because I love to like push the boundaries, of course.
Yeah.
So I think that I try to do the gym here and there, but I think I really needed to work on like my mental state and like on that whole condemning thing because I even started to condemn the gym.
Yeah.
You know, because you can
Yeah.
condemn everything,
Yeah.
especially with getting the attention that you get. And then it's like, oh, I can't even gym without God, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like you're going to have all those things everywhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now spending time with my friends and then trying to like get back into doing like experiences. I love doing like new experiences.
Yeah.
But I think because I wasn't moving for so long, I just been going out like dancing and stuff because I think my body's been craving that for a while. But I'm excited as summer comes, like, you know, continue to like do things and like get out.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm also like still even learning, even just like with all of these going outs recently too, is like still learning my sensitivities because sometimes I go out and I'm like, oh my God, it is so loud.
Yeah.
It is so loud. And like
Yeah.
every once in a while, but you know, sometimes your nervous system gets overloaded.
Yeah.
So I think that's also me understanding just my nervous system also works differently. And sometimes I don't have the capacity like everybody else.
Yeah. And so it's been really nice to really understand everything because it gives you a view of, you know, what has come and what has, you know, not just October of 2024 till now, you know, it's way well before that. So it gives you, you really lay down the structure of what has happened that had brought you to where you are today, you know? And so, you know, I thank you for sharing, you know, your whole story. I think that that it's good for folks to hear this because, you know, again, sometimes you feel like, oh man, I'm going through this. This is crazy. Am I the only one who's going through this? And it's like, no, there's somebody out there who's going through whatever you're going through, you know?
Yeah.
And so if Genesis can get out of it, so can you, you know? If Genesis can find a way to rediscover who she is, rediscover, you know, what she's doing, rediscover just the importance of just pausing and just being with yourself, then you could do it as well, right? And so I thank you for just, you know, not keeping your cards to your chest and really opening up because I think that's good. I think we don't have enough of that, you know?
Yeah.
Sure, you may feel like you over talk, but I think that's how we all feel sometimes, you know? You and I were talking earlier and I started, you know, going on a rant about everything I've done, you know, because I wanted to give you a background on who I was. And in the middle of talking, I'm like, oh my God, am I talking too much? You know, because that's just how we feel, you know? But I think sometimes it's necessary. And so I thank you for just being open. I think it's great. And you know, my doors here are open for, you know, whenever you get to that next place and you want to talk about it, you know, you're more than welcome to come by and talk about it. But before we get off, I do want to ask you a few questions. A few kind of, you know, different, maybe a little more fun questions that we haven't really touched on.
Okay.
To kind of just get to know Genesis a little bit more, right? And so the first question, and you know, you take it however you want to take it in terms of like what route. If you want to go the route of like your new diet now or what you used to eat when you were younger, you know. But I want you to tell me, you know, what's your favorite dish?
Oh, my favorite dish.
Even if it was something that you used to eat before, you have it, you know.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna do a favorite dish, and then I'm gonna do an I miss dish.
Okay, there we go. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So today for your diet today.
Okay. So I love me like a good Buddha bowl.
A Buddha bowl. What does a Buddha bowl
So like
consist
it
of?
could be anything, to be honest. It's
Okay.
just like a big salad almost with
Okay.
like greens.
Okay.
So I usually like I'll do like arugula, quinoa, lentils or chickpeas, some like cube sweet potato.
Okay.
Depends. Like sometimes I'll do Brussels sprouts like cook with like honey and like so that they're like crystallized, like caramelized, I should
Yeah.
say. And just like avocado, like a good sauce. Like I would say like that's like one of my favorite meals.
And where would be a good spot? You know, where would be a good spot to find one, or who do you know someone who just makes a good one?
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's because that's something that I really struggle with eating now. Where the heck do I eat?
Where do I go?
eat?
Where do I go?
No, like
Yeah.
who is trying to feed me some romaine lettuce and like,
Listen, romaine.
literally no.
Romaine lettuce is okay.
That is not plant.
If you would have said iceberg lettuce, then I'm like, yeah, that's crazy.
It's the same thing.
Iceberg is like water.
It's the same thing. I feel like I don't. when you were vegan, I feel like those are the same. Or plant-based is the same thing.
Yeah.
But so I would say what is that called? Just Salad.
Okay.
In Fairfield. They
Yes,
have a
yes,
new one
love.
in Milford.
Before the new one?
Yes, they
Okay.
just put a new one. I know,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
hyped. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I found out about them when I was in New York, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sad they don't have one. And then I found out they have one in Fairfield, and I'm like,
Yeah.
has it been here the whole
I used to go to
time?
Fairfield. I got like it was like a good month or 2 months. I was just like, bah, 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 and then I kind of stopped.
Oh my God, that bowl, that like vegan bowl
Yeah.
with the purple cabbage.
Mhm.
Oh, and like it's like a Japanese sauce bomb.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's all you need. Like when you do something like that, like you really don't need anything else. You just need a good sauce with like all the food, whatever you get, like
Yeah.
plant-based, and like it's gonna be delicious. Like that's one thing that I feel like I actually enjoy food a lot more now. It's just
Yeah.
unfortunate that like if I want to eat out or if I don't feel good and I don't want to cook, like that becomes like its own task. And sometimes that puts
Yeah.
me in such a bad mood because I'm like, what am I going to eat? Well, if I eat out because I don't feel good, then I'm going to have to either eat meat or eat gluten because
Yeah.
that's only really the options out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And it's like most of the time, regardless if I decide not to eat meat, it still has gluten.
Yeah.
So it's just like this that part is annoying. So I've been working on like just more home cooked meals. I'll
Yeah.
meal prep for 2 times a week and I'll do that. But my missed meal is definitely sushi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one in Kama Sushi in Stratford,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
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 And then the one that has the kiwi, it has mango and kiwi. I forgot the name of it.
Okay.
Look for it though.
Okay.
Bomb. I miss it. I was literally, and that's something that I'm still working on because you know how I'm like, okay, I've been really fluid with like, okay, I'm going now, I'm not going now.
Yeah.
Fluid with like, okay, I'm accepting you for who you are. I just
Mhm.
don't have to, whatever. I feel like I'm like maybe eventually I want to work on that fluidity when it comes to like my dieting
Yeah.
because like I love this life, right? But like let's be realistic. Like I just told you, it's hard to eat out. It's hard to like also find that like common ground with people.
Yeah.
You know, if I with one of my friends, if I go out to eat with her, I kind of have to break my thing a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I don't want to also betray myself.
Yeah.
I'm okay with doing this every once in a while. But maybe I could do sushi every once in a while. But then the whole thing is that like because I went into that whole rabbit hole of like food,
Yeah.
it's also like I know what this is like doing to us that I know it's not good, but then also like then you're also stopping yourself from having like the human
Yeah.
experience and having some like treats. But what's treats? I feel like we have also normalized eating out now.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
most of us have to eat out like what 3 to 4 times a week,
Yeah.
and that's only counting like dinner. We don't even count lunches. Like we
Yeah.
don't even count lunches, and we
Yeah.
eat lunch
Yeah.
out and we're having dinner out. So I think that's like super normalized. So I think that that's where. And then, like, you typically restaurants get food from the same place, and
Yeah.
that's Food Depot or whatever, Restaurant Depot. And those ingredients are not like, now I try to eat whole foods. So, like, now that I eat so clean as well, right?
Yeah.
When I eat out, I could feel the difference. So
Mhm.
I don't like how it makes me feel, right? But then also how it affects my body, especially because I'm still healing. So
Yeah.
sometimes if I eat something bad, which I did, we had like a work party 2 weeks ago. I had a couple of drinks, which I don't even drink. But it was free, so I'm like, you know what? Let me have a couple. Let me have a couple. I like
Yeah.
your girl has been put through a ringer,
Yeah.
so I had a couple or whatever. But it's just that like I'm having all this sugar, and then it makes me feel even worse. And then now like next day, like my body actually hurts. Like the
Yeah.
inflammation is so apparent to me now.
Yeah.
And now like even there's some times that like if I have like certain things that I haven't had for a while, let's say like I'm going to Starbucks and I'm getting like egg whites and like a coffee, like now I could also sense what food gives you mucus.
Mm.
So like now I've gone into so deep into like the food industry, and then also because I think I'm so sensitive that it just affects me differently.
Yeah.
And I think that this is one thing that people be like, "Oh, you look so skinny. You need to eat," especially because I lost so much weight, and they think that it's because of that, but in all
Yeah.
reality, it's like I was actually never meant to hold weight.
Yeah.
I was just putting it on because I was trying to gain weight through the gym, and I'm actually gaining bad weight because of inflammation. and now I'm lowering and actually lowering all that inflammation. But
Yeah.
then it's gonna take everything, obviously. And then regardless, it's like they'll kind of be like, oh, you're being rigid, or just eat this. And it's just like, I think like now, like I used to be very judgmental, and I think like the more like I feel like you take on like your own life, or I don't know, what it is, I guess,
Yeah.
that I know where I'm at. It's like I don't need you to tell me what it is that I need to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Especially because you're not even probably listening to your body. It's like, how is it that
Yeah.
like you think that you know everything about mine? And it's like another thing is like everybody's body is differently. And I think that's something that I also had to learn, because even with me learning all of these things, right? I've been like, Mommy, you need to stop eating this. No, no, no. And mind you, this is just the awareness that I learned this past year.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
how much awareness can change your life if you allow it to. Because it's like I had the awareness of the food, right? Which is beautiful, which I didn't have before,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like, no, I'm not gonna eat this. And then I'm talking to my mom, and then I'm like, no, don't have that. And like that awareness is beautiful, but not beautiful if that's what you're gonna do with it. You're gonna try to control others, change
Yeah. Yeah.
others,
Yeah.
and then the other person is feeling like every time they're gonna talk to you, they're gonna be critiqued, they're gonna be judged, or they're gonna have like a whole ceremonial, like a whole long talk.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I had to be like, you know what? Like if people want to choose to have whatever that they want to have, like that's their like rightful like sovereignty choice. But like that's just not what I'm choosing to do. So like that's just where I've become a lot more accepting. And it's funny that still like, having that reflected back, people are like so like, oh, you need to just eat meat or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
just like meat is my choice. Like that's literally my choice. Like gluten is for my health,
Yeah. Yeah.
sugar's for my health.
Yeah.
But and technically I feel like meat is technically for my health too, because another thing with the whole meat thing is just like I don't like that we're eating animals that have been getting abused and abused in a sense that where they're just commercialized and they're just like pop back to back. And even
Yeah.
like even learning that like technically cows, they can't create milk unless they're pregnant.
Mhm.
So like that means that cow is getting back to back, popping kids out back to back,
Popping kids.
popping out kids back to
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
and then like stressed out, like all that what it's doing, what it does to the body is not even the right conditions because
Mhm.
they're forced. And then like it's stressed out, and you can't tell me like that's not in the body. But like I said, I just think that I break it down so
Yeah.
much. And then I think that I'm also so sensitive that it is because it affects me,
Yeah.
So I think that that's where I'm like, you know what, like that's what like I love the people that are able to hear these perspectives and
Yeah.
not feel like I'm objective or yeah, like subjectively talking about them when
Yeah.
like I'm just objectively talking about my own life and my
Yeah.
own view.
Yeah. But some
So
people can take offense. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So now it's just okay, like well, I respect you. I'm like, well, and when they say that, it's like I don't force you to like I would never tell you to go plant-based. So like,
Yeah.
you know?
What is Genesis favorite song at the moment?
Oh, I'm not that's something I'm not good at. I've been trying to I've been
Are
working
you,
on that.
are you listening to music?
I am listening to music,
Okay.
but I've never been good at I've never been good at like knowing artists and knowing songs.
Yeah, but there's not one song right now that's like on replay. You're like, oh, I gotta hear. Oh, that's
I
my
mean, I
song right
know
now.
the song, but like not the name or like
or the artist.
the artist. But I do want to say that okay, how about we leave it with like lately I've been listening to like I've kind of gone away from mainstream music.
Okay.
I try not to do mainstream anymore. I try to listen to like very affirming music.
Okay.
So like, I am abundant, I am great, whatever. Like, and like there's a lot of good ones. Like
Yeah.
it's not just like affirmations, obviously they're in there, but like
Yeah.
there's like good melodies. So that's like ones that like I feel like that just put me in a mood of life.
Yeah.
That they were like, I am glowing. Everything comes to me with no effort.
Yeah.
Like just like beautiful things like that. I'm like,
yeah, let's go. All
yes.
right. And this is the last one. You are from what I've seen, you are becoming a drifter, right?
A drifter.
Right? Is that what you call it? Do you call it a drifter?
Oh, thrifter.
A thrifter.
Thrifter?
A thrifter.
Like
Like
Yeah,
thrift stores.
like store. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So tell
yeah.
us a little bit about your thrift
Oh
store.
my
Tell us
god.
about this new hobby you have.
Oh, I love thrifting. First of all, the Goodwill in Shelton
That's the spot.
is a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Okay, do not fuck it, don't mess it up. It's
You
color coordinated.
Really?
It's beautiful. I love it. It's like by linked shirt.
Yeah.
Like it's color coordinated. Like it's so easy on the eyes. Like I
Okay.
function very much with structure, like organization.
Yeah.
So that's one of my wants, but I really been wanting to get into like the apps. I hear like there's thrifted stores apps like
Okay.
Whatnot, Vinted, ThredUp.
Yeah.
So I really want to tap into that because I heard that they even have like cheaper prices than like Goodwill. Because Goodwill has pretty good prices. It'll be like 20, something depending. Sometimes 30, sometimes 15, sometimes 3, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes like it's not worth to pay 30 if it's like old, used, whatever, depending. But if you could get it at 10 for any one of the apps, like why not? So that's like my hidden gem. But I remember there was one store in Jersey that me and my mom hit a couple years ago. When I'm telling you hit, like the cart was like that. Like
oh, so this is going back. I thought it was like a new hobby you picked up.
Well, it was a new hobby. It's a hobby that I re-picked up.
Got it.
Like I only did it back then because I'm like I was working at a bank. Like I needed nice clothes. Like I used to shop at Express a couple of years ago, but I'm like, yeah, nah, I can't be doing that. I was wilding out. I was living at home, So I'm like, let me do that.
Yeah.
So that was more so like that. Even though I really liked the outfits, but I don't think even back then, like I don't think I was having as much fun with fashion as I am now.
Okay.
So I think that's what like drove me back because then I was getting into Shein and like Shein was cool, like it did what it needed to. But then I think with this whole holistic community too, I wanted to also like just tap back into like having like really being intentional about like living life and like where do I put my money, like what businesses am I doing it for, or like is the stuff sustainable or am I just gonna throw it out, like. So the whole consumerism aspect, and as a female, like we all love to like, shop and have nice things. And like, don't get me wrong, my closet is extensive. But if you could, if that's your thing, then that's like your thing, as well. But just, I thought, okay, wow, that's my thing, but at least it'll be more sustainable too, better for the planet. And not only that, then I try to do cotton clothes or linen. So it's like, you're having them like the better, you're sustainable, it's cheaper, and it's like better materials than being in plastic all the time, So that's it. And like the fact that like now, because like during that whole shift, I like even shifted like, I shifted like my whole, I know I went back to going to Genesis, but I changed my username. I was Gen Seeker for years since I was in middle school. And a lot of people used to message me. It's like, what's your secret? Like they would think it was like something with like OnlyFans, especially after it came out because of the name. But I was just obsessed with like Victoria's Secret. So mom said Gen Secret because I used to go by Jen.
Yeah.
So that was my whole like identity, even like a couple years ago.
Did you spell it Gen?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Because some people would be like Jen, like Jennifer or whatever. Like, no. But so during that time, I did a whole complete like wardrobe change. I changed everything.
Yeah.
And then I think after I left the gym, I even did a little bit of wardrobe change after that. I was like, you know what? Like I'm just gonna even have more fun with like my outfits. And then also I just started to see how like we're losing an individuality. Like every female wants to look the same, be the same, have like the same. And, I'm just always trying to go with what's like true, not the facade of things or what is nice, but like having too much nice things could be damaging to your psyche, to be honest, So just trying to have that balance. So now I'm just having hella fun. So that's one of the things that has helped me when I go into the office. I feel like crap in the morning sometimes. It's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, because the arthritis hits. Also, because I have ankylosing spondylitis, so I have arthritis in my hips and my neck, like my whole spine up my thing. So sometimes like the whole back, my hips, everything hurts. It's hard to get up. So I'm like, all right, let me give myself a moment. So I got to go to work. And then once I'm getting ready, I'm like, well, I feel like crap. And I'm like, well, let me at least get a cute outfit going on and make me feel better.
Well, I didn't know that you were going to thrift stores for clothes. I thought it was like, because I saw some stuff
Oh, the telephone.
but it wasn't like, yeah, I don't remember it being closed. I remember
Oh, the
like a
estate sale.
teacup or
That's the
something.
estate sale.
Oh, is that what
Yeah,
it was?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I need to find that more.
Yeah.
That was good. That estate sale was crazy. I
Because
bought real silver for $40.
I saw like a I don't know, like a spark, like a spark in you, like you were
Yeah.
excited, like,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
you're like,
Yeah, because it's
yo,
like a treasure hunt.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I saw that, it made me smile. Like, I mean, I thought like you were just like so
Oh,
excited.
yeah, I'm the same one with clothes too. When I see something, I'm like, "No way,
Let's
that is
go.
definitely it."
Before we go, I want you to before we started recording, we talked about being intentional. And I think that a lot of what has happened in the last 2 years in your life has come from you being intentional. You being intentional about discovering, what it is that was bothering you, even when the doctors were like not really sure. You were like, no, I'm gonna figure it out, And then you were intentional about, hey, I gotta fix my health. You were intentional about, hey, I'm gonna stop eating gluten and I'm gonna stop, eating meat. You were intentional about, hey, I gotta fix, some relationships. You were intentional about, hey, I gotta release some relationships. You were very intentional in the things that you were doing, and I think that you would agree that that intentionality is what has helped you kind of get to where you are now. And so for anybody who is probably going through some of the things that you have gone through and who is maybe having issues just getting over the hump or just kind of getting started, right? Sometimes we just get stuck, we just can't get started. um just share a little bit about how you were able to become more intentional and about the importance of being intentional.
Mm. Yeah, so the first thing I would say is definitely take an audit of your life. Like if you don't like something or like just think about it for a second, like even like write it down and just make a list on like what is it that I don't like about my life right now or about myself. Like read be like you have to be so like raw and like honest with yourself. Like even if it's like so extremely like painful, sometimes you don't want to see that stuff about yourself. So I think like that's like the biggest thing. Get really raw and honest and then make a list of the things that you want to change. And the reason why I make a list is because like when you're changing, like there's so many times that you could focus on like something that's like you don't like, but like you're not gonna know how to change it right away. So at least if you make a list and then you're like, let me revisit this. Like
Mm,
how can I revisit this now?
yeah.
Even if you have made some improvements or maybe if you haven't, it's like, okay, some time has passed. Like, is this ready? Is this time, like, is this the time to revisit this?
Yeah.
Am I like more ready and like susceptible to take the message or the lesson that this is trying to teach me right now?
Okay.
And I think after that, it's just like you have to make the hard choices. Like you have to say no, you have to spend time with yourself. You have to start withdrawing from your own current life. Like you can't like that saying that you can't live a new life with the current life you live. Like that
Mm,
is so
yeah.
true.
Yes.
You cannot live it and you cannot become her or him without changing that. Like there's
Yeah.
no way. So like you have to just face that. And then after that, I would just say, like, just continue to bring awareness. We talk about intentionality. Be intentional about your awareness.
Yeah.
Like be intentional about like asking yourself questions about your own psychic. Like continue to uncover layers. Like you like going to the gym. Why do you like going to the gym? Okay, I want to get healthy. Okay, why do you want to get healthy? Well, I don't feel good. I feel fat. Okay, well, if you feel fat, let's say right per se, then like you need to revisit that, right? Because that even though your intentions could be good about going to the gym, you want to change the underlying narrative and the pattern and everything underneath that, not just the fact that you're fat or that you don't feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you want to change what got you there. What, that you stop taking care of yourself, that you stop eating. Like that's what I mean. Like you're gonna have to like uncover that. So that's why like writing things down and then continuing to like continuing to dig deeper even as time goes by and revisit, like that's the only way that you're going to continuously bring awareness
Yeah.
intentionally back into the game so that it continue to teach you like the lessons. Because we're never going to know everything, right? So continuously, even with me, learning about everything that I learned, and then me having this whole like awareness about the gym culture,
Hmm.
and then the awareness of like, oh, you want to be thick, but then are you really ready for the outcomes of what comes with being thick? That's one of the things that are you ready for all the objectification and all of these things. So it's kind of like, if you don't cover that enough, then you're going to sit there and be stuck, and then you're going to be like calling all these things in your life that you are still not going to be okay with.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, I feel like this awareness is a continuous like work of every single life, like of your whole entire life, really, because we're continuously always going to have to bring something into awareness
Yeah.
as to like, okay, how did I just answer you? Was that a little messed up? Let me bring that to my awareness. And what is it that like triggered me? Or what is it that like I'm bothered with, that
Yeah.
like maybe it has nothing to do with you, and I'm just triggered because of all these other things that have going on in my life or that I've taken on. So like I just say continuous intentional awareness. Like
Mm.
that's, yeah,
That's the key.
that's the key. There's nothing else.
That's it. Genesis, thank you so much. I
Yes.
think you share a lot, and I think that well, I don't think I know that it'll definitely help some folks, um because again, these are things that I'm sure a lot of people go through. A lot of people don't talk about it, and maybe even you 10 years ago wouldn't even talk about it. But I think we get to a place in our lives where we're okay with sharing. Because I think
Yeah.
once we heal from certain things, then we could just talk about it. And so I thank you for coming. I thank you for hanging out with me for a little while. I thank you for
Yes.
sharing. And I hope that you come back, in a couple of
Yeah.
years and tell me more about the journey that you're going through.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful to hear the whole story. And so I thank you for sharing.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for even reaching out. And
Yes.
I think that this even just continues to add to my own healing and
Yes.
growth. So I'll definitely, come back and rehash out the other years in between that.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you get notification every time that I post. Um, and this should be on your YouTube as well. So we should be able to find it on your YouTube as well. Thank you so much, guys, and don't forget, be transcendent.